Seeker. Written by Suzana Thompson. Performed by Heather Firth. Chapter 14. I take the public bus after school. There is a bus stop down the street, and the bus lets me off about a block away from the apartment building where Silas is now living. It's a lot cheaper than taking a taxi, but I'll have to call one to take me home since there is no public transportation near my house. I ring the doorbell for Silas's apartment before I realize that he might not know how to buzz me in. I'm reaching for my cell phone to call him when I hear the door to the building unlock. When I go upstairs, I almost have a heart attack when I see Jack waiting for me at the apartment door. "Mila, isn't it?" he inquires. "It's nice to see you again." "Where is Silas?" I demand. "Silas," Jack calls out. "Your girlfriend is here." Silas walks into view behind him, and I berate him in a near panic. "I told you not to let anyone but me in." "This is my place," Jack calmly reminds me. "I brought his paperwork. Thought I'd save him a trip." I step inside while cautiously watching Jack. "Did you register him for school?" "Yes." Silas answers for him. "We went together, and I saw where you go to school. We were going to have lunch together every day." "No," I correct him. "You're a senior, and you'll have lunch with the seniors." "Look," he urges and gestures toward the living room. I follow him, feeling uneasy to turn my back on Jack Cole. The sound of him shutting the door behind me makes me even more on edge. Maybe he was waiting to have us both here before he kills us. I glance fearfully back at him, but he has no gun in his hands as he joins us in the living room. Silas gets my attention by shoving a sheet of paper at me. I'm dismayed to see that it's my class schedule. "Where'd you get this?" "Jack brought it," he replies. "He knew I'd want to be with you." I'm too creeped out by Jack to ask how he got my schedule. "I'm a sophomore," I tell Silas. "I'm 2 grades behind you, so we're not going to be in the same classes." "The counselor told us that," Jack says. "But she made an exception for Silas so that he could have lunch with you." "Why would she do that?" I question, despite not really wanting to engage Jack in conversation. "I had a private chat with her," he confides. "She made concessions for his special circumstances." "What special circumstances?" I ask, wondering what he could have told her about Silas when he doesn't know anything about him. "His mother was a prostitute who died recently, and he's never attended school before. You befriended him when your church was delivering sandwiches to the homeless. I also attend your church, and you convinced me to help this young man get off the streets." I stare at Jack, wondering how he came up with a lie like that. You couldn't give him a better life than that? Why would you say his mom was a prostitute? "It'll explain his lack of formal education. Even kids who are homeschooled have to meet certain standards. But his unconventional background will account for how he fell through the cracks." He's apparently thought of everything. Leave it to a criminal to be such a consummate liar, I think. I'm so relieved that he doesn't appear to be planning to do us any harm that I just go along with his scheme and return my attention to Silas. "What classes do you have?" I inquire curiously. "I don't know yet," Silas informs me. "I have to take tests first." "He's going to be tested for placement tomorrow," Jack explains. "I'll show you how to take the bus there," I tell Silas. "You can get off just down the street from the school." "That'll do until you get your car," Jack says. "What car?" I question in bewilderment. "Once he comes into Robert's money, he can buy himself a car," Jack replies. "How much money is he getting?" I ask. Just like a woman, Jack remarks. It's all about the money. Jack says I'm inheriting $100,000. Silas tells me. 100,000, I exclaim. That's a lot of money. Jack smiles. You kids have fun. Call me if you need anything. I'll be in touch when the money clears probate. Thank you for all your help, Jack, Silas says. Jack winks at him. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. He lets himself out of the apartment, and I lock the deadbolt behind him. Silas shows me his birth certificate, which states that his father is unknown and his mother is Karen Smith. It lists the hospital he was supposedly born in and his date of birth as December 1st, 1997. I wonder why he didn't just make you 18 to start with, I muse. Then he wouldn't have to be your guardian. He wanted to control him until he could be sure about him, Abel states as he appears beside Silas. Where were you last night? I demand. Why didn't you answer me when I asked if Silas was okay? I attend to the dying, Abel says. He wasn't dying, and neither were you. Are you speaking to Abel? Silas questions. Jack didn't kill us, so we're not dying now either, I retort to Abel. Why are you talking about Jack killing us? Silas asks. Is he a hitman too? He's a liar and a thief, Abel tells me. The inheritance was supposed to be $4 million, but he took most of it for himself and left Silas a pittance. I repeat that information to Silas, but he doesn't complain. It's blood money. I wish I didn't have to take any of it. But it's $4 million, I stress. You could be set for life. I don't want it, he insists. He can keep it. Trying to fight Jack for the money doesn't appeal to me either, so I stop arguing about it. What did you mean when you said he wanted to be sure about him? I question Abel. He wanted to see if Silas was blackmailing the benefactor for money, he explains. He had never mentioned Silas before, but he was suddenly leaving his savings to him. Is that why Jack took the money for himself? I ask. He took it because he could, Abel replies. He knew that the benefactor trusted him enough to sign the paperwork without reading it, and that is exactly what happened. I repeat what Abel said to Silas, and then Silas speaks to him directly. Thank you for everything you have done for me, Abel. You have provided me with a life, but do not concern yourself with me anymore. I will find my way from here. It is as it must be, Abel says. You are now among the living, and I must attend to the dying. He leaves without saying goodbye, but I wonder if he misses Silas. His expressionless face revealed no emotions, but he has visited him several times since Silas became human. I wonder if anyone has taken over for Silas, and if Abel has any contact with the new guy. Do you think that somebody else is doing your job? I question him. Where would they even get anybody to replace you? I'm not surprised when he tells me that he doesn't know, and I muse that I should have asked Abel about it. Silas and I leave the apartment so that I can show him where the bus stop is and explain how to use the bus. I take out a notebook from my backpack to write down the name of the street where he needs to get off the bus, but he insists that he'll remember. When we return to the apartment, I give him a notebook, a folder, and some pencils that I bought for him. We'll have to go shopping for more supplies, but this is enough to get you started, I tell him. Oh, I tap the folder while he holds it in his hands. Your phone numbers are in here. He gives me a questioning look. Phone numbers? I remove a plastic bag from my backpack. Here are your pajama pants. Yeah, the girls at the store. The ones who gave you their numbers. Should I call them? He inquires. If you want, I reply. What should I say to them? He asks. That's none of my business, I retort. He seems confused by my answer. Why is it none of your business? Your girlfriends are none of my business, I state brusquely. Say what you want and do what you want. Girlfriends? He questions. Why do you call them that? I am not romantically involved with them. Why do you think they gave you their numbers? I snap. They want to go out with you. He appears to be genuinely surprised. Why? Because you're a cute guy, I tell him. Why else? I'm cute? He asks in bewilderment. Children are described as cute. I am not a child. It's different when you talk about a guy being cute, I explain. It means he's good-looking. Rather than being flattered by the compliment, he contemplates it thoughtfully. People want to romance good-looking people. Yeah, I agree. But people our age don't talk like that. We say date or go out with. We don't say we want to romance people. Listen to how the people around you talk when you're at school. I will, he promises. I will learn to speak like they do. You will, I assure him. He's studying me as I speak. People want to date you too, he states. I had started to imagine him at school among other kids, but now my mind snaps back to the present moment as I realize what he's saying. He's telling me that I'm good-looking, but it's spoken more like a fact than a compliment. I respond with a careless quip. People don't give me their phone numbers at the store. You weren't there long enough, he suggests. We'll return there, and I'm certain they will. I drop the light tone as my mood turns serious. I don't want to go out with anyone. Neither do I, Silas tells me. His declaration surprises me since I expected him to want everything that most people want. Why not? He shrugs, and it's such a completely human gesture that it reawakens my awareness of the change in him. I have no interest in romance. I think about the dream he told me about, and I wonder how he perceives it if not in a romantic way. Maybe he's already forgotten about it. You'll fit right in as a guy, I tease, but I feel sorrow tug at my heart. I miss my friends, and I'd rather have them back than be here with Silas. Chloe betrayed me, but I still miss her. I wish for my old life before the accident. And I reflect some of that yearning onto Silas. Do you wish that you could go back to how it was before? He appears to consider my question at length before speaking. It was easier before. I knew my purpose, and I fulfilled it. I felt useful, needed. There was no doubt, no uncertainty. Now I feel like I've been set adrift in the open sea with no clear direction. And yet, it's kind of exciting, I guess. Starting a new life. Perhaps, he allows. But it's more like I can rest now. I'm not being pulled in two directions. I'm confused by his explanation. What directions were you being pulled in? The dying and you, he tells me. His words create a troubling image in my mind. I imagine a vast group of the dying on one side, and only me on the other side. How can one person be equal to an entire group of people? It spooks me and prompts me to reach for my phone so that I can call a taxi to take me home. I gotta go. Good luck on your test tomorrow. Maybe I'll see you, he says in a hopeful tone. Maybe, I say non-committally. I'm glad that I can get away from him and not have to be worried about him anymore. I felt responsible for turning him human, but I won't have to take care of him for the rest of my life. He just needs to adjust to school and life, and then he'll be fine on his own. Maybe this would have happened to him anyway, and I'm just supposed to be his guide into his new human life. That seems like a reasonable explanation, and it makes me feel better about the situation. It's not that he was drawn to me exactly, as much as he was being torn between his old existence and the pull of his newly emerging human side. He was in transition, and that was why I could see him and touch him, because he was in the process of coming over to my side. Perhaps I had some special ability to see him before most people could, but I couldn't be the only one in the world. There have to be others like me, but Silas just happened upon me first. It's not so strange and upsetting when I think of it that way. I'm not the one who pulled him away from the dying.